So we're back, and I'm here with Morvern Cunningham, Hollie Ruddick, and Tomas Gerrard to talk a lot about the local cinema project. Morvern, you've been doing this, spearheading this for about 2 years now. Tell us what this project is.
So local cinema, as you say, kind of started last year. I think, to be honest, partly in the wake of the demise of Filmhouse as was then, which is, been a huge loss to the city. But I was already working, and I'm still working on a network called the Creative Community Hubs Network. And through that, we decided, with a bit of funding from the City of Edinburgh Council, to launch a kind of new network, a kind of sister project to the wider network called Local Cinema. And Local Cinema basically is a network of community cinemas around Edinburgh and kind of the wider Edinburgh area, presenting and hosting cinema screenings for people in their place. This year, we've kind of expanded things a little bit. We've got a little bit of extra funding through the Film Hub Scotland and Edinburgh Film Guild. And we're supporting kind of other exhibitors as well, exhibitors and cinema exhibitors who are in their kind of first or second year of starting up. So it's been great to kind of widen that this year.
Great. And you've had a lot of experience with community cinema over the years, but what do you think is the heart of community cinema? Why is it so important? Like someone said to me recently, they were like, "Oh, we could do some expanded screenings for you," and I'm like, community cinema screenings are expanded screenings, because when you go along to a community cinema, you're never going to just watch the film and then leave. There's always going to be kind of added extras. There might be tea and coffee, there might be snacks and catering. Definitely someone will introduce the film and welcome you to the space. There might be a discussion afterwards. And what we've found with local cinemas, there's been some really nice kind of extras. I mean, Hollie can talk about the workshops that were done through Song of the Sea that were on earlier this month. But also, like, coming up, we've got Harold and Maude at Duncan Place Community Hub, which is a classic film, obviously, themes of kind of death and suicide, but it's also kind of interesting love story between two kind of an odd couple. And Duncan Place, as part of that, are going to be running a death cafe afterwards. So it's about kind of like these beautiful kind of additional extras to a screening that you would have in a place. And often also these screenings are of relevance to their place as well. Craig Miller now have been doing a lot of, there's not much, but the Bill Douglas back catalogue, and recently showed a new documentary about Bill Douglas, and Bill Douglas grew up like a stone's throw away in New Craig Hall. So it's also about kind of bringing meaning to a screening through place and through kind of the welcome that you get. That's great. And Hollie, tell us a little bit about the Crannie Community Hub and why you got involved in terms of creating a film program there.
Yeah, so we're really centrally located right by Waverley, and we're trying to sort of build community in that area of Old Town that's quite transitory. We really want to have a strong community in that area. And so we put on a lot of activities for people. People can drop in. There's a place for them to hang out and feel welcome. So we really want to get involved because we love showing films, and we felt like we could, like Morvern was saying, have added extras. So make them real events. We've just done Song of the Sea, as Morvern mentioned, which was a really nice, lovely, beautiful film.
Yeah.
And one that everyone really was able to enjoy and participate in. And we had a workshop afterwards about people's connections with water and places that they'd love to visit by the beach or wherever. And so we're also trying to have opportunities for connection within the events, as well as bringing in facilitators, connecting with local organisations. We often do them in partnership with an organisation we're involved with. So it's really just an opportunity to get people seeing smaller films, mostly ones that we feel are of interest and tackle issues that people might be interested in discussing.
Great. And a couple of films coming up for the rest of the year, right?
Yeah, we're doing one on this Friday, actually, which is Coda, which is a film about a teenager who's a hearing teenager in a deaf family. And it's a really interesting film. We're hoping to have a discussion afterwards, talk about the themes of the film, growing up, etc., finding your place in the world. And yeah, then we're going to be doing The Princess Bride in November, Classic, right? So that should be a really fun way to sort of round off this year's screenings before we start next year's.
Yeah, we've got more coming in the spring. So also the programme's kind of expanded last year. I think most of the kind of foundational community cinemas had about 3 screenings each throughout the year, and now that's kind of doubling. So we've got 3 in this kind of autumn-winter screening per community cinema, plus another 3 in the kind of January to March time. So I think there's something like, I don't know, like 20, 25 films in the current programme, and probably a similar amount next year too. Talk
about programming. I mean, are you sort of working? I mean, what do you like to program? But also, I mean, how do people go? Do you help Morvern kind of come up with help with through the programming at all?
I could take no responsibility for any of the films in the. Well, actually, yeah, maybe like Tomas can confirm, but yeah, I did actually suggest The Holdovers, which is their kind of Christmas movie. But I think that's maybe the only thing that's maybe made it into the current programme. No, a big kind of again kind of foundational aspiration and part of local cinema is for folk to kind of do it themselves. So all of the community cinemas are not only kind of putting on the screenings themselves, they're also doing kind of the programming and curation. So yeah, Hollie, how did you come about these films?
I guess we've asked people what they're interested in. We've seen as well if there's any groups that want to put something on with us. So it's kind of led by what people are wanting more than what we're thinking. Although we have had some involvement, and particularly my colleague was really keen on The Princess Bride. But yeah, we try to make it led by people because that's the point of the screenings, and also we want as many people as possible to come along to them, obviously. But it's really interesting process deciding who's putting on what, and the discussions that we have, programme discussions, have been interesting, finding out people's different input and ideas as well.
Yeah, so we have kind of regular meetings where the folk who are involved in the community cinemas can talk about what they're thinking about programming and what they'd like to programme, if there's kind of unusual titles and things like that. So I think that's quite helpful in that kind of network sense, to have that sense of solidarity and just to be able to exchange ideas and share and nick ideas as well. I think
watch trailers.
Yeah, totally.
So have you seen audiences sort of jumping from one cinema event to another, or is it mostly just pretty much local people coming?
I mean, I try and go to as many of the screenings as I can. I think for every screening, there's kind of like a core group. I think particularly with the community cinemas who kind of almost, not necessarily the right terminology, but the kind of foundational community cinemas in the network are operating out of buildings that are already catering to their communities in some ways. So often they will have their own kind of community members and participants that come to things anyway. And this is a way of kind of offering something different for their community members. So there's that. But I do think that being part of this kind of shared programme expands that and amplifies that, and also advertises it to people who might want to see what's going on in their local area.
Great. So, Tomas, tell us a little bit about the BSL Film Club at Deaf Action and how you started that, why you started the film club.
So, basically, I'm a deaf person that lives in Edinburgh. I love books. I love films. If I'm not working, I'm reading a book or I'm watching a film. And I set up a book club, a BSL book club a few years ago. That went really well. But obviously, it's a book, so there's no costs associated with it. Everyone just gets their own copy of the book from the library or borrow it from a friend or whatever. We come together once a month to read it. To discuss it. And so that went really well. And I love the model. It's very wholesome. We get lots of different people that have never read a book, or lots of different hearing people that were coming to this deaf environment, and they were to kind of experience a conversation from a deaf perspective of all these literature, which obviously were written by hearing people. So that was great. So I'm not here to talk about my book club, sorry. But then I've always wanted a film club to run alongside that, because it's a very visual medium. Deaf people love films. Deaf people love going to the cinema. It's very loud, it's very visual, and you don't need there's not much of a language barrier with films. So I wanted to do that for years, but there are costs associated with it. I found out that you can't just screen a film, without permission or anything like that. Not that I've done it. I found that before I did it, which was great. And so I got in touch with these guys, Local Cinema, and they kind of backed the pilot BSL Film Club. with Deaf Action, we got a little basement at the bottom of my building,
Great.
little cosy beanbags, screen in there. We show the movie, deaf people come, enjoy it, and hearing people are welcome as well, enjoy it, and then afterwards we just have a good old chat about it, and that's the whole point of it, because there's so many things out there not accessible for deaf people. We're just not able to kind of assist in that mainstream environment.
Yeah.
And if we did, it would be very, very difficult for people to understand our perspective on things. We've got quite a unique take on it. And so that's really an opportunity for just a bunch of people to enjoy a film together, and then just to kind of have a good conversation in a safe space afterwards with no expectations. Just everyone just chill. You leave when you want. And it doesn't matter if you hated the film. You're welcome to say that too, which people have done.
So you had your first screening last week, right? Tell us a little bit about that.
So we screened Notes from Cheapland. I just picked it because I thought, cheap, Ireland, it's a little bit different. So I just thought, let's go ahead and do that. And so it was the first one we did. Unfortunately, I had to stream it, so I was sweating bullets through the whole thing because, the buffering, no. And I had to subject them to 360, kind of a HD kind of thing. Well, it wasn't HD. Anyway, so, but other than that, it went great. We had I think, actually, book club started with 4 people. This is from my experience, and I was the only deaf person there. And it was all like hearing BSL interpreters, because obviously they had BSL and access to English language. But this time around, it was, I think, maybe 4 hearing people and 10 deaf people. So it's a really strong start.
Absolute result.
Yeah, massive result. And I think it just goes to show, Bush is a little bit less accessible for deaf people, but deaf people just love films, so they just came to this, and I barely had to convince anyone. It was great. I mean, it was a good experience. People enjoyed it. There was cheap popcorn, and it was good.
Great. And just to ask you, and what's coming up for your film club? Is coming up this month?
Notes from Cheapland is a little bit of experimental screening. I'm trying to spice it up a little, just trying to get to the feel for what people like. And so what's coming up is Marcel the Shell with no shoes on. No, with shoes on, sorry. So that's coming up next month. And then in December, we got a Christmas film, if you want to call it that, The Holdovers. So we're very excited for that. And so the whole point is just to make sure that people got a selection to choose to see. So Notes from Cheapland is a documentary. Marcel the Shell with shoes on is like a wholesome animated film, and The Holdover is that kind of typical mainstream with a great lead, Paul Giamatti. So if they don't like the other 2, they can go to 1, or if they like all 3, they can go to all 3. If they don't like any of 3, they should still come anyway. So
yeah, I love how you're both sort of choosing experimental, but also some classics to bring people in as well. What is
Figure it out.
Yeah, what do you hope for next season or next year? If you in a year's time, or what would your dream be for your film club?
My dream would be have these a monthly film club that no or a little cost to the deaf community. I would love to have like deaf directors in, deaf producers, or people to just work on set who have that understanding of the deaf experience and to come in and to kind of talk about what they do. That's exactly what I do with the book club. I get people, editors and authors and all that. I do all that. I would love to do the same for the film club. And I would love just once a year for the book club to read the book and the film club to read to watch the film of the book. And we also just kind of converge in that one meeting. That's my end game.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Hollie?
I think, I don't want to say, the same, but similar in that I'd like it to be more regular and definitely established. Something that people can come along to, and maybe even have a team of community members who are programming it, who are leading it. So we'd like to continue doing sort of smaller films plus more classic films, and definitely raise issues that are important in the community.
Well, Morvern, how do we find out about? Is there a website we can go to find all these film club places?
Yeah, so the lead hub, I suppose, in the network, and also for local cinema, is Whale Arts, based out in Wester Hailes, who have their own community cinema as well. So there's a local cinema tab on the Whale Arts website where details of kind of the current programme are currently, and we are hoping to be releasing details of the spring programme kind of towards the end of November to start of December, before everything gets kind of really chaotic with Christmas. Just to pick up on that thing that Hollie was saying as well about kind of community members, I think it's interesting. I think that, and definitely an aspiration. I think some community cinemas in the network have got a bit more of that at the moment than others, but also it's kind of a slow process. As Hollie will know, kind of working as a community development worker, also it's about kind of long-time relationships and working with people. One community cinema that we're yet to welcome on to the network, but we will be next spring in the programme, is North Edinburgh Arts, who have been kind of outside their normal building for a very long time. I think about 18 months, maybe 2 years now, and are hoping desperately to be able to get back in by the end of this year. But North Edinburgh Arts are planning the 3rd edition of the North Edinburgh Film Festival, and that's going to take place on the 22nd of February. And one of the things that they've been doing is working with a group of community members for a long time, kind of looking at different types of experimental film, experimenting themselves with making films, also working with Screen Education Edinburgh in terms of their archive, because they've got kind of a vast archive from now, but also when they were pelting video back in the day, and also doing a little bit of curation themselves. So yeah, I think there's like kind of varying elements of that when it comes to actually being community-led, but community-led is definitely an aspiration of all of the hubs and of local cinema as well.
So if you're a community organisation and you don't have a film club yet, can you join?
I mean, there is that. So as I said at the start, like, we are also, like, with Thomas and other, like, so we've been supporting kind of Queer Film Night as well, and also Love is Sweet, which is going to be having another screening in the programme next spring as well. Love is Sweet is like a new kind of initiative, just showing and curating films about Black love. But yeah, so we want to support people who are doing stuff in their first kind of year or so of iteration. We want to be able to, we've got little pots of funding, so we were able, as Thomas says, that we were able to support Deaf Action to do these screenings as well. And basically, if anyone has a need, an urge, maybe not a building, that's not necessary. But I mean, if you are a community centre and are interested in doing community cinema screenings, so you can also get in touch. But just to get in touch with me, so it's Morvern Cunningham at gmail.com, and you spell my name with 2 R's, Morvern. And that's like, yeah, the best way to get in contact, and hopefully I can support kind of more folk. And it's also about kind of demystifying the experience as well, because I think often people don't know what to do and like are worried about like contravening licensing laws, and can get quite stuck in that as well. And just, I'm really kind of keen for more people to be doing screenings that cater to their local communities or to their kind of communities of interest. So yeah, I really want to be able to support people to do things. So if you have any questions, just get in contact.
Great. Anyone else want to say anything else about their experience?
I'll have to say that I know it's a BSL Film Club, but the most important thing is that everyone can come, like regardless of your experiences with the deaf community, or if you're a hearing person and never met a deaf person. Our model is to kind of make this a welcoming space for everyone to come and learn, and also for deaf people to kind of like be comfortable in their space. That's the key thing. I have people going, oh, can I come to this? I'm not sure, is this the right space? It's absolutely the right space. You just need to come with like love and respect for BSL, and that's it.
Wonderful, thank you. Hollie, anything else you want to add?
Maybe come along on Friday if you're available.
Yes, come along on Friday.
4 till 7 at the Crannie Community Hub. I think tickets are still available online. So do join us if you're free.
Thank you. So Thomas, Hollie, and Morvern, thank you so much for joining us today. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Amanda. Bye-bye.
Hello, and I'm back, and I'm here with Blair Young, co-director